Hello anyone, everyone, and no one. Welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial. Now, today's tutorial is going to be a little bit different, okay? When I switched over from Console Edition to the Bedrock engine, a lot of the redstone changed, and it really confused me. There was a lot of things that didn't work. And you know, that can be really difficult switching from one platform to another. But there's a lot of things that do work, and there's a lot of things that I get asked quite often. And one of the things that I get asked quite often is redstone clocks, hopper clocks, you know. What works for Bedrock Edition. So you know what? I think that's what we're going to cover today. I think I'm going to run through maybe a top 5 redstone clock or hopper clocks that I like to use for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. You know, with the audience that Bedrock Edition reaches, there is many new people starting up this game every day. And a lot of just basic things are not known. Clocks, just something simple. That's something that I even forget to this day. To this day, I still have to look sometimes to look and build an Etho Hopper Clock. Hey, it happens. I don't remember everything. But you know, we'll cover an Etho Hopper Clock in here, but right now, we're going to start off with a very classic simple clock that I like to go to quite often. I use this thing for garbage cans, I use this thing for nano farms, I use this thing a lot, and it's just a simple comparator clock. Now what a comparator clock is literally you'll just find you a block. Actually, you don't even need that block there, so you just literally set you down a lever, a comparator, run you some redstone dust, put that thing into subtract mode, and you got a simple clock here. Now this thing just fires off constantly, you know, and if you don't need it to be running, you can just shut it off. I like to use this, as I said, in trident killers. I like to use this in nano farms. There is so many uses that you can come up with for just a simple comparator clock. I mean, it's short, simple, and sweet. All you have to do is go to the nether, and it's not hard to make it all. You know, that is pretty much one of my go-tos for one that I don't need to add much delay to. Now, if you need to add a little bit delay into something, what I like to run into next is like what I like to call a repeater clock. Now, for a repeater clock, we're obviously going to have to grab ourselves a repeater here, but this one is very simple as well. It's just literally just a few repeaters back and forth, just like this. A little bit of redstone dust in between each of those, and you can delay each of the repeaters to control how slow the pulses is going to be. So literally you get this whole thing set up, drop you down a lever, flip it on and off, and you just got a constant repeating clock. Now this thing works good. It works good, but it's a little bit of a pain to stop. Yeah, you can stop it like that, but you know, it doesn't stop. So what I actually like to do with this thing right here is I like to be able to have a little bit more control with it. So typically, if I'm going to use one of these, I want it with the ability to shut it on and off. And to give it the ability to shut on and off, we're not going to get very complicated at all with this. We're going to add in a couple pistons. We're going to grab ourselves an observer, and we're going to put the observer right here. We're going to put a solid block right there. Now, from there, we're just going to put a little bit of dust right here, however you want to power it, and boom, there's the first part of this thing done. Now, from here, we're simply just going to add in a couple blocks just like that, another couple just like that, another couple just like that, and then another just like that. So we have got a lever powering some sticky pistons, which is going to push up this observer and this block here. Now from here, it's really simple. You just go ahead and add in your repeaters again, and literally when you turn this thing on by flipping that lever, as you can see, you can get a very fast clock. Now this is just like that. You can adjust the speed on it however you want. You can come in here, change the delay of the repeaters, and you can make it pretty slow, and it's good and reliable. Now this thing is good for piston feed tapes or anything where you do not need redstone signals overlapping, because more or less you're just getting one signal out of one block at a time here. And what I mean by that here is, let me place down some blocks around here and grab out some redstone dust. As you can see, just going from there to there, actually let me make this a little bit better visually displayed. Yeah, as you can see there with some redstone lamps that I've added in, your signal is constantly fluctuating around. That's what I love about this. And you can delay this, as I said, and change it however you want. If you want this thing to be super fast, there you go. Now, of course, with the redstone lamps, obviously you're getting, looks like a direct output all the time. But yeah, it works good. It works good. Now let's go ahead and shut this thing off because we do not need it anymore. We're going to move on to our next one. And speaking of our next one, this one's more of an honorable mention. This one I don't go to a lot because observers in Bedrock have issues. Now this does work. It does work, but I don't like it, as it has tendencies to sometimes be a little bit crazy. Alright, so literally this one here is an observer clock, and this one is relatively straightforward. So if I grab a sticky piston right here, let's throw this thing down right here. Let's go ahead and put out a dust input from the back here. Input, output, yeah, exactly. Words are difficult at times. And literally, once you get a sticky piston with a lever on top of it, when those observers face each other, they're constantly updating each other. And of course, as you can see here, you get you another redstone clock. Not much you can do about the timing on that thing, but it does work, and it is another viable option. You know, we've got a comparator clock, we've got a repeater clock, and we've got an observer clock. Now, you can actually take this thing and be a little bit more complex with it if you want to, per se, kind of like this. Here, let me show you. And what I mean by a little bit more complex is literally not that complex at all. Literally, you put down an observer there, another one watching into that one, another one right there, and then literally let's add in another one right here. And then at this point, we'll grab ourselves a sticky piston. We'll go ahead and grab ourselves a lever, flip that thing on, and as you can see here, we've created another clock. And what the good thing about this one is you can literally take off of any one of these repeaters right here as well. So if I just throw down, or repeaters, observers, you can take off multiple signals anywhere you pretty much want. Yeah, it works, but Bedrock and observers, they do tend to have issues. But it is another reliable redstone clock. Well, moving on. You know, covering all those, there's another one that we're going to have to go into here, and that is your classic little torch burnout clock. Now, this thing is relatively simple here. You just literally get yourself a couple blocks, go ahead and get you a couple redstone torches, add in some redstone dust in between, and literally place it on top of each of those right there. You can have you a lever anywhere you want in here, and that's it. Now, this is a very, very primitive, short and simple clock. Now, this thing is good for, well, droppers, auto droppers. Well, this wouldn't be an auto dropper per se, but, you know, dispensers shooting out arrows or anything like that. Yeah, there's a lot of uses for something like that. But moving on from that, let's head over to what I like to consider the bread and butter of clocks, and that's going to be hopper clocks. And as far as hopper clocks go, I mean, I think everybody's go-to is going to be the Etho Hopper Clock. Now, it's actually not my go-to, but I really love it, so I'm going to do it first, and then I'm going to show my go-to hopper clock after the fact. Now, Etho Hopper Clock. Alright, now to build an Etho Hopper Clock, it starts off really, really simple. You're going to take a hopper, going into another hopper, going into a hopper. Alright, so hoppers into hoppers. Really, really, really simple at that point. So from there, you're going to have to grab yourself a comparator coming out of that hopper, a comparator coming out of that hopper, into a block of choice here, a block of choice here. Now on top of that, we're going to place a temporary block there. We're going to put in a piston right there, another temporary block right here, put another piston right there. From here, remove our temporary blocks, place in redstone dust, redstone dust. We're going to place a redstone block right there, and literally from here we need the ability to shut this thing off, so we are going to come over here, put in a couple temporary blocks, put a lever there, and we're going to power that one real quick. Now, how this thing here works is literally you'll place one item inside there, the item is going to bounce back and forth. So if we turn this off, now as you can see, the item will bounce back and forth here. Now you can control this by the number of items that you place into here. So literally you can put in up to 5 stacks of items and turn this thing on. Now as you can see here, all the items are slowly bleeding from this hopper into this hopper. Now they can't bleed back because of the redstone block up there. Now when this hopper is finally empty, that comparator right there is going to shut off, that piston's going to retract. This one can finally push, it'll push it back over, and then the clock will start again. And literally you can come off of this redstone block right here with your redstone signal. So say you need a signal going that way, say you need something going on this way, you can take, when this side switches off and powers that side, you can take a redstone signal however you want. I mean, it's a great clock. It's a great clock. The only thing that I do not like about this clock is the pistons. I do not like the pistons. They are very, very, very loud, you know, and I have a tendency to always be loading the area where my clocks are, which is going to lead me to my next clock. And the next clock that I really absolutely love, this is probably my most go-to clock out of any clock, is the Ilmango Silent Hopper Clock. Now, this thing's a little bit more bulky, but I love it. It's silent. I've never had no issues out of it. Sometimes this one, I have issues with items duplicating. Some people say they have issues with items duplicating out of this one. You know, it's going to come down to a personal preference on which one you like here. But yes, I'm getting distracted. Let's actually jump into this. Okay, so you got a hopper going into a hopper. Really straightforward at this point. We're going to add a block on top of each of those. Now from there, we're going to come around here to the back side. We're going to add in 2 blocks right there. From here, we're going to grab out a couple of comparators. Can we fly, please? We'll put a couple comparators right there, going into a couple more blocks of choice. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and grab our comparators. We're already at this point, and put 2 comparators going right there. I know, this one's a little bit more confusing. So literally then, on top of this comparator, add in another hopper going into a hopper. Now this thing is just about set here, so if we grab a redstone torch, we're going to put a redstone torch right here, right here, right here, and right here. And now, that is pretty much the raw build of this thing in, so we're going to go ahead and put a on-off switch there that we can turn it on and off with. In this front set of hoppers here, we are going to place in 1 item. That's it. And as you can see, once you've added in that single item in there, these comparators are flopping back and forth because this item is bouncing between those 2 hoppers up there. Now, these hoppers right here are the ones that actually control your clock on how long it is. Alright, so literally if we just grab, let's say, we'll put a stack of 16 items in here, then now this is where the magic is going to start to happen. So anywhere we want, we can take a redstone signal out of those, and literally every so often, depending on the number of items you put in here, one of these torches will fire off at a very set interval depending on the number of blocks in there, and you have a reliable, silent hopper clock. I absolutely love this thing. And this thing is just like this one over here. You can put as many items in it as you want. And I love this thing because if you even want a longer clock, literally don't pull off of both of them. Just pull off of one and you'll get a clock that's twice as long. I absolutely love it. Love it. But you know, there's tons upon tons of hopper clocks that work for Bedrock Edition. These are just a few of my personal favorites and preferences of what I like to use. So if you have an idea for a hopper clock, you know, put it down in the description. I'm sure somebody out there could probably use it. But I think that's just about where I'm going to wrap up this showcase tutorial thing that we did today. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye!